All right, guys, excited to be joined by a good friend and also one of the best coaches in the game. You know him from coaching the champions of champions, from Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, Cain Velasquez, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and the list goes on, including Islam Makhachev, who's getting ready for a big move up to welterweight. Javier Mendez, welcome back to Submission Radio, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I got to jump in right here and ask you, dude, what do you make of this? Looks like you guys have a new potential challenger down the track, depending on what happens. But Kamaru Usman was able to defy the odds this past weekend and win and beat Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, in that fight, but Kamaru did incredible. I mean, it was a great performance. He looked like he's almost his old self again. The jab was on point. When I watched, I go, damn, I just forgot what a great jab that guy had. And he also proved to everybody what a great wrestler he is, too, and how he can use his intelligence to win fights easier than to make it more exciting. He proved that point by the way he went out and he attacked his opponent. Very impressive.
Obviously, he shares the same manager as Islam. I'm sure you guys would have been around in the same rooms together. What do you make of him sort of saying, hey, I'm next for the belt? Whoever wins between Islam and JDM, I'm next for the belt. Do you believe that he's put himself in a position to potentially fight for the belt next?
Possible. It depends what the UFC thinks. I mean, I think Shabkat needs to be considered. Also, Ian Gary, Bilal Muhammad also, too, if maybe he wants to be back in the picture. Who knows? I mean, this division, the welterweight division, has become the hotbed for the UFC at the present time, in my opinion. There's so many marquee fights they can make from there, and let's see what they want to do. But, I mean, there's so much that can happen.
How do you see him as a challenge for Islam? Like, we saw that obviously he's looking very healthy. His wrestling is still on point. Do you see him as one of the harder challenges for Islam outside of JDM in that division?
Yeah, he's just right. He's right in line with JDM, 100%. Him and I think that all those guys are really trouble for everybody. Shabkat himself, Ian Gary. There's so many guys in that division that Islam hasn't fought either. So it's one of those exciting things to be in. But we need to get by JDM first. That he's not going to be an easy fight as it is. So once we can get by him and we analyze him properly and we get through the big hurdle that he is, then let's see what we can do from there. But we definitely need to get by him first before we can really, really concentrate on anybody else. But it is an exciting division at the present time with all these new potential marquee fights that can happen.
Hey, I got to ask as well, are you guys in training camp already?
They've been in training camp. I've been in Dubai. I've been enjoying my life while they're doing their thing, but I'll be joining soon. I'm just presently looking to get my visa to go to Russia, so which is not no easy task. But I'm looking to get my visa, and then Habib will let me know when they need me down there. Then I'll get down there. I haven't been down there as of yet, and so I haven't got my visa either. So let's see what happens. But I'm anticipating that I should know soon whether I get my visa or not.
From your experience here, you've been in so many big corners. You've been with guys who have moved up, like Daniel Cormier. He moved up to heavyweight, obviously became a champion there. What do you think is the key here for Islam as he moves up to a higher weight class? Because it's almost like you don't want to put on too much weight, right? Because you don't want to lose too much speed. And speed is an advantage as well when you're smaller moving up. But at the same time, you want to put on a little bit of size. Like, what's your mindset when an Islam Makhachev moves up to welterweight?
Well, for him, being the fact that, he's going up to welterweight, and he was actually fairly good sized lightweight as it was, he was on the bigger side of the lightweights. So I don't think this is going to be too big of a jump for him, to be honest with you. It is a jump, obviously, because come fight time, Jack is going to be heavier than us, but not by a big, wide margin. I think he's okay here. I think if we ever decide to go to middleweight at some point, I think that's going to be a big hurdle. But I don't think welterweight is going to be that big of a hurdle for him. And I don't think we're going to lose much in speed, if at all.
Well, it's interesting because Kamaru Usman, he said his plan is to fight Islam and then move up to middleweight and fight Dricus du Plessis. Do you think that there's a possibility that before it's all said and done, Islam could move up and fight for a third belt if he does get the second belt and defends it a couple of times?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this stupid camera I'm lined up right. I keep screwing up. I don't know how to do this thing, but
You're doing a great job. Don't worry about it.
I think the police is, you know, I think that's just another, I don't know. I really don't want to anticipate what could happen there because that's a lot of what ifs, you know. You know,
Mm.
Islam is actually 34 too, or gonna be 34. So it isn't like he's really gonna be around much longer, I don't think, you know, based on how the Dagestani guys, the mentality on Team Habib, you know, is, and Islam having enough money to do what he wants to do the rest of his life. So let's see. You know, the challenge is more for me. It's being able to get a legacy going for him, and getting the welterweight title is a hell of a legacy to have.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of people talking about the fact that he might not stick around long, but I reckon what? I think there's still a couple of big fights there at least for him. Like we've got Ilia Topuria potentially after this, a title defense. There could be another fight with JDM if things are close. Like, do you anticipate we see him around for at least another couple of fights?
I'm anticipating. Yes, I'm anticipating we'll see him for maybe, hopefully, maybe another 3 fights total. You know,
Mhm.
let's see who's in the works on that, and let's say, you know, if we get by JDM, which is, you know, I don't want to really say we're gonna get by him because this he's a tough customer, and you know, I'm gonna be positive in the fact that we're gonna win, but it's kind of hard to overlook JDM. You know.
Mm. Hey, I was going to ask you, man. I saw there was an interview with Umar where he sort of spoke a little bit about Hunter Campbell, how he came down and visited Islam and sort of talked him into moving up, and how Umar believes they will actually see Islam come back down and potentially fight. Here's a quote here from him where he believes that Hunter went up and they wanted to get Topuria the opportunity to become the champion at lightweight, but Islam didn't want to give up his belt and that he would like to return to 155 to hold both belts. What do you think? Do you think that there's a chance we might actually see Islam potentially come back down to lightweight after capturing this welterweight belt? Or do you think that's it for him and he's just going to be focusing on the 170 division?
You know, it is possible that he may want to do that. I don't really know. When if we can manage to get by Jack, you know, and you know the situation arises where they want him to fight the Topuria if he's the champ, then let's see what happens. But I don't know. I don't really don't know exactly how it's going to play out because we're all playing what if with this, that. Because we may
Mm,
never get that opportunity. The UFC may never give us that opportunity to explore these avenues. But I like the prospects of Islam having so many options, you know. But again, you know, we have to get by JDM before any of these things can come next, you know. But you know, him coming back to 155, I mean that's a potential. Who knows, you know? Or he may decide he wants to stay at 170 because he's comfortable there. There's more, in my opinion, other than Topuria at 155 if he's successful. That's the only fight that's really enticing for him. But other than that, what else, you know? And the reason why this time it would be enticing because if Topuria does manage to get by Oliveira, then it won't be one of those the little guy versus the big guy. It's going to be two juggernauts going against each other. So that would make a big change in the attitude of what would happen, you know?
mm. What do you make of people with these conspiracy theories of, oh, well, Topuria will move up to welterweight and fight Islam? Like, could you see a scenario where Topuria comes up to 170 to fight Islam?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Why not? But
You can
yeah,
see that?
Topuria is a
He's like
gangster,
five
man.
seven, Javier.
Yeah, but he still doesn't change his stature when it comes to Islam. Same opponent, you know. So it's going to
Mhm.
be the same amount of weight. I mean, got to remember one thing, you know. Even though you know it doesn't look good in people's eyes when Islam was fighting another featherweight, but in actual weight, you know, they're pretty. Topuria is pretty heavy. Listen to his interviews. He's talking about what a struggle it is for him to make featherweight. So that's why he wants to go up. So he's a big guy. He is a big guy. He's not tall, but he is wide and he's very muscly. So the guy
Mm,
is a pretty good sized guy.
mm. I got to ask, man, just going back to this JDM fight, you would have had a little bit of time to look at some footage of JDM and what makes him dangerous as you get ready to go to Russia and get this visa. What are your thoughts on sort of the things that make Jack such a dangerous opponent? Like, what are a couple of his skill sets that you think are pretty
He
impressive that
he's
you guys are
he,
getting ready for?
he mixes up his punches really well. He goes to the body and the head really well. He goes body head, then the kick comes. You know, the guy is well versed in kickboxing, and his ground is very good. He's got a very good ground game and good wrestling defense. This guy's he's the total package. You know, he's not an easy fight, not an easy fight at all. and we have to cut up, not cut up. We have to do our homework, and we have to train properly for him. I believe we will beat him, but if we don't do our homework properly, we won't. But my guess is that we're going to do our homework correctly, and we're going to come in and we're going to do what we need to do. Whatever Jack's going to give us, we're going to take advantage of. But he's going to have to give us something, or we're going to have to force it. One or the other. It's going to be one of those chess matches, because this guy's that good, and it's a challenge for us. It's definitely a challenge.
Obviously, he was able to stuff a lot of Bilal's takedowns, but at the same time, two very different grapplers, right? Like Bilal, yes. His main game is getting people up against the fence, then working for that takedown and sort of keeping them up against that fence, backing him up against that fence. Islam's a different grappler here, right? Like, this is a completely different matchup when you look at it from a grappling standpoint.
Well, from a grappling standpoint, Islam can do it all. He can do it all of it. So we're not going to be in the same scenario, because we have different skill sets. And Islam can take you on the cage, take you in the middle of the cage. He can strike with you. He can do it all. So what we're going to do with Jack is what we're allowed to do with Jack, or Jack allows us to do. What mistakes we create for him to make, or what mistakes he makes that we take advantage of. It's going to be one of those type of fights. Like I said, it's not an easy fight for us, and it's not an easy fight for them by any means, because they got to be careful too. We ought to be careful about everything. Every single thing this guy has, we have to be careful with. The least we have to be careful about is obviously the ground. But again, we have to be careful on the ground with this guy too. He's well-rounded in every area. And his striking is obviously his number one thing, but his ground ain't so bad either.
Talk to me about how the striking looks. Obviously, JDM, an expert striker, probably one of the things that makes him so dangerous. He's able to hit people with shots as they come in, great combinations. But you've been working hard with Islam on his striking too. Every single fight we see a better version of Islam. I'm not anticipating you guys are going to be afraid to sort of stand and trade with JDM throughout this fight.
No, we're not going to be afraid whatsoever. And it's just not me. He's got Magomed, he's got Saif Safullah, and he's got Muhammad, the boxing coach. So he has a lot of striking coaches. I'm not the only one. And then he has Habib, who Habib and I, we put the plan together on how he should fight. He has a lot of coaches, and I don't want to take the credit for something that other coaches are doing. They're doing a great job with him. I come in and I fit in where I need to fit in, where I've always done, and that's what I'll continue to do. I come in and I'm the head coach. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm not the head coach. I am the head coach, but I also let other people grow. I don't control anything. I come in and fit in where I need to fit in to make sure that everybody grows together and we all learn.
I'm really curious to see what Islam looks like without having to go through this weight cut. Right? Like, we haven't really seen him at this weight class before. Are you excited to get to see him sort of be able to do his thing at 170 finally?
Yeah, it's exciting for him to go for the legacy. He wants the legacy. I mean, all along, we had talked about, he had told me, Coach, what do you think? When I went, this is after about the first or second fight. I don't remember exactly which one that he defended his title. He said, I want to come in and I want to do something where I can go after the welterweight title. This is before Bilal Muhammad was champion. And I said, that's a great idea. He goes, I want to defend the lightweight title more than anybody. Then after that, if I get an opportunity, I want to go for the welterweight title. He goes, what do you think about that? I said, the next thing is fantastic. So this has been on our radar way back then, before Topora was anybody even known in our radar. So the mission is still as it was back then, and now it's coming through for what he wants. And, I'm very happy for him, because he's been wanting this opportunity from years back. When he was champion, when he was first champion, he wanted this opportunity to go for a legacy fight, and that's what these kids are all about. They're not about the money. If they have enough money, they're about the legacy. They want the legacy fights. And that's what Islam is doing now. He's going after legacy. And if he's successful, that's exactly what he's going to get. He's going to put himself on the forefront as one of the greatest of all time, and that's what I believe is going to happen with him. And who knows, before it's all said and done, he might be considered the greatest, or considered the 1, 2, or 3 in the top 3. I don't know, but he's definitely online for that.
All right, guys, before I get back to the interview, I just want to thank my sponsor, MANSCAPED, for making this program possible. Did you guys know with a code word submission, you guys could save 15% off? That's 15% off plus free shipping from all of the great products on the Manscaped website, but I want to talk to you guys about the Chairman Pro. The Chairman Pro is a high-tech, dad-approved grooming upgrade, which is perfect for the Father's Day over there in America. But if it's not Father's Day, it is an electric face shaver that can tackle up to 5 days of growth and features 2 interchangeable blade heads. It's waterproof. The battery life is awesome, up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge, but it also showcases the battery level so you know when it's time to recharge with the display. Of course, it's got the travel lock, the LED spotlight, and most importantly, the 2-year warranty the Manscaped comes with. Manscaped, of course, has the Lawnmower 5.0, the Beard Hedger, and all sorts of other products. Some of the most comfortable underwear out there as well. So go to manscaped.com, use the code word submission, get 15% off and free shipping today. And guys, I also want to talk to you about our friends at SAILY. That's right, SAILY, the best eSIM on the market today. What is an eSIM? Let's say you're traveling, you need to make phone calls, you need to download data, you need to be able to use your phone. Don't line up in a stupid queue and replace your SIM card, lose your current SIM card, and sign up to some plan that lasts for months. Use SAILY today. You just have to download the app. You just choose the location where you're at. You choose the amount of data that you want, and you are sorted, my friend, to use your phone wherever you go, whatever country you go to. It's easy to use. Like I said, all you need to do is just download the app. You avoid roaming costs, never ran out of data because you're able to update it and increase it wherever you go. It's one eSIM for all of your trips, so you don't have to change SIMs everywhere you go. And it's got global and regional plans as well. Get up to 100 gigabytes of data or as little as 1 gigabyte of data for a week or half a year. SAILY is your place to go for everybody out there who's looking for an eSIM. So download the SAILY app now and use the code submission. Go to saily.com/submission. The link is in the description below, and you guys get an exclusive 15% off your first purchase. That's 15% off your first purchase. Try SAILY today. And now back to the program. I think, personally, I think he should have been able to hang on to his lightweight belt. Out of anybody, I think he deserved it. And what do you make of people sort of being a bit outraged? Because, we have John Jones, for example. The UFC never made him vacate his belt, and he's been inactive for God knows how long. But then Islam Makhachev, someone who's actually defended their belt in the division multiple times, doesn't get to move up and sort of keep that belt to make it a little bit more special for him if he wins that second belt. Like, do you think that there's a bit of unfairness happening here in terms of the UFC just not letting him hang on to this belt as he moved up?
Well, obviously it's unfair, but you know what? If we're gonna start complaining about the UFC being unfair, then you're not doing your homework. This is an entertainment sport first, and they're about what's gonna make the most money for the company. So if you're not making enough noise, if you're not making the right moves, then you're not gonna get the right opportunities. Now, let's face it. You've been around long enough to know John Jones is making the right moves for John Jones. John Jones is very smart about what he does, so therefore he gets the opportunities and he gets to do things that nobody else can do. But one reason, he's deserved it. He's earned that opportunity to be where he's at. On the other hand, when you have a heavyweight title and you're holding it as long as he has, and you got Tom Aspinall, who's deserving of that title recognition and opportunity, and he has to even defend his, his interim title because he's not getting the heavyweight title, which he much deserves. But again, the UFC is allowing John Jones to control the situation because he can, and there will be a point where I think he won't be able to, and he's going to either have to vacate or he's going to have to fight Tom, because rightfully so, Tom should not fight anybody unless his opponent across the octagon from him is that person, John Jones. Other than that, Tom should be fighting for a brand new opportunity, because Tom is not after John, he's after the belt, and that's what everybody's after. It's never about the individual. It's just like Kamaru Usman. He's not after Islam. He's after the belt, So the belt is what matters, not the individual.
You've been opposing John Jones, obviously, a couple of times with Daniel Cormier. One of those times was overturned, obviously, controversially, as, John Jones, popped for some testing. What do you think John Jones versus Tom Aspinall actually looks like? Do you think Tom is the man that could beat John Jones here?
Tom is definitely one of the individuals that has the potential to actually beat John. Yes, but if John accepts the fight, I've always said it that John must know he can beat him. So I would favor John slightly to be able to win that fight. Sorry. And of course, you know, am I right? No, I don't know. We're all wishing what we want or saying what we want, but you know what actually happens in the fight is going to happen in the fight. But Tom Aspinall is the real deal. I like him. I like what he's doing. I like how he handles himself. I like how he's handled this whole situation. You know, all his interviews are, to me, it's like if I was his coach, I would say, man, spot on. I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're creating interest, and you know what? You're gaining fans. You know, that's what he's doing. I become a bigger fan of his on based on not so much his fighting, but also his you know, how he handles the mic, and I'm very impressed with him.
Mm. What do you think would have happened if we saw Daniel Cormier fight John Jones at heavyweight?
Well, I think it would have been almost the same thing. It was, you know, it's not much different. You know, it would have been a great fight. You know, and it was one of those scenarios where the first time DC gave him a great fight, but DC was thinking he was ahead the first 3 rounds, so he took off the 4th round, and then we come in and after the 4th round, we say, "Hey, you need to finish him," and he's like, "What? No, I won the first 3." I go, "No, no, you didn't." I go, "They were too close." I go, "We didn't give Daniel but one of those rounds," and then so we were said you're down 3-1, and he was like, "What?" So you know he had to play catch up. You know, so that was a bad strategy on his part. And then the second fight that he had, he was fighting perfect, and he was doing exactly what I want him to do. And then I noticed Daniel was getting cocky, and I'm yelling at him, "No, no, la la la, stay back to the plan." All of a sudden, that beautiful lead leg front kick, I mean, front shin kick to the neck, man. As wow, that was so fast, you know. But DC was getting too cocky, you know, and confident, you know, and that's what cost him. So I would expect something like that again. It could have gone DC's way as a heavyweight, absolutely. But any one of those other 2 fights previous possibly could have gone his way. But it was all calculated by wrong strategy, wrong mental thoughts, you know. And also, let's face it, when you have such a great as John Jones, and DC's a great too, but John Jones is another level special because he'll do whatever he takes to win, and he's very smart and how he approaches things. Very, very smart. I'm impressed with him, to be honest with you, as the way he does things, the way he controls what he does, and actually the way he controls his life. This John Jones and nobody else. It's not UFC and John Jones. John Jones had it too. This is John Jones, then the UFC.
Mm. Let me just quickly ask you before you wrap up. I brought him up earlier, Umar. We're excited to see him back. He's healing up. What do you think might make sense for him next? Obviously, Merab was able to defend his belt against Sean O'Malley very impressively. It looks like it's going to be him and Corey Sandhagen next, which leaves a lot of fun matchups there for Umar. Would you throw in a Sean O'Malley with Umar? Would you do a Piotr Jan if he gets past McGee potentially next? Who do you think would be a good matchup for Umar to come back to the octagon against?
Any one of those guys is okay with me. Whatever the UFC decides to pick, we're okay with them. But we have to win before we can be even in consideration for another title shot opportunity. Because you know, out of all the guys, I think Umar probably gave Merab the toughest fight. But you know, that's not enough for the UFC to give us a title shot. Again, I think Umar's going to have to win impressively, whoever it is they give us, whether it be Peter Yan, whether it be whoever, you know, O'Malley. It doesn't matter. We have to win impressively in order for us to have another opportunity. And I welcome the opportunity because Merab's gotten better, and that's even more exciting because, you know, you truly will beat someone that probably at the present time, in my opinion, I think he might very well go down as the greatest bantamweight of all time because if you think of everything Merab's done, look at the champions he's beaten back to back and back. I mean, it's pretty impressive, you know. So, I mean, I wasn't much on Merab other than cardio, but his last fight made my opinion change in a way where he's improved quite a bit. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the way he holds himself. And I look forward to hopefully hopefully him, but if not him, whoever holds the title, I look forward to Young Eagle being given another opportunity where he's earned that opportunity to fight for the title again. And I believe that the next time around, we're going to see the Young Eagle soar and finally get what he needs and wants.
Yeah, the first fight, very close. I really want to see that rematch. I really think Umar could be the guy that really challenges this version of Merab. Before we chat next, and before, you know, everything else gets announced, you know, next week we've got Ilia Topuria fighting Charles Oliveira for UFC 317. It's happening. You know, they're fighting for Islam's belt. I got to ask you, man, I know that you're big on Ilia Topuria, but do you see a scenario here where Charles Oliveira can kind of ruin everybody's plans and get the title back and beat Topuria here? It does look like people are kind of counting him out a little bit against Ilia.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid to count such a great champion like Charles out.
Mm.
Charles is one of my favorites, so outside of fighting us, I'm always rooting for him to win. So I'm on Charles's side. I want him to win, even though I'm impressed with Topuria, and even though Topuria would be a better matchup for us later if they give us that opportunity, or if Islam wants to go down to lightweight, or Topuria wants to go to welterweight. One of those scenarios could happen. But I'm pulling for Oliveris to maybe catch him with the knee up the middle, or maybe a submission. Who knows? Anything's possible. But I mean, I'm sure that Topuria is going to be favored because he probably should be favored in my opinion.
All right, man. A lot happening. We're excited. We're waiting for the big announcement. I'm hearing around October. I know you can't really confirm anything until the UFC does, but excited to see Islam move up to 170, do his thing, see you guys claim some history here if you can beat JDM, and then, of course, go on to a couple of other big fights around the corner, depending on what happens with Ilia and everything else in the divisions. Javier Mendez, thank you so much for joining me, man. Well, how exciting is this? I feel like you're in one pivotal moment of MMA to another, right? Like so many massive fights, another big historic moment right around the corner for you guys.
Yeah, and with Team Habib and AKA, my son Jeremy Mendez, who I'm very, very proud of. I got to corner with him for the very first time here with Romero Cotton against a
Oh,
very
no
tough
way.
Brazilian. Yeah, and you know what? I love my son. I love what he's doing, and he's become one hell of a coach and a cornerman. I was so impressed with him and the advice he was giving his fighter. And I was just in awe. I was like, I told my son, I go, I'm so proud of you. I go, you're ahead of your dad, and I just look forward to the day that he's able to accomplish his goals and to be considered one of the top coaches. And he's got years to go, but you know what? He's very young. He's only 26, and this is what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a coach, and he's doing an unbelievable job. I was so impressed with him. The kid works like crazy. His mind, he understands the mindset. The mindset of a coach is stronger than the actual ability of the coach and technique and this and that. And he knows how to transfer that over. And it was a pleasure for me to watch that this weekend at the UAE Warriors, which to me is the best show in the Middle East, with Fad Darwish, and Abdulmanam is the chairman of Palm Sports, which owns UAE Warriors. So anyways, I'm giving those guys a plug because they're an incredible organization that just has top-notch fighters that, I tell everybody, if you come to UAE Warriors, that's lower level UFC level. So don't think it's an easy fight over here. International League is super, super tough. So be ready for a war. And Romero Cotton got into a war, and I told them. So,
dude, that's awesome. Yeah, UAE Warriors, a fantastic promotion. Congratulations on your son. I can't wait to see what's next for him. And dude, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see the big Islam JDM fight next. It's going to be massive for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Great having being on board with you again. It's always a pleasure.